configuration. You know that we can configure with different methods of the static root configuration. Let me to configure first the router 1, router 2, and router 3 with both the, for example, outgoing interface and also the next hop. For example, in router 2, we can configure the outgoing interface and next hop. Let me to write here. I'm going to configure here the static root with the outgoing interface and also the next hop. Maybe this is the most efficient method because we are using both of this information. Okay. This is the router 2's configuration. Here we have the router 2 configuration. And after that, I'm going to use IP root, for example, 10.1.0.0. You know that the router 2 know about the 10.1.2.0/24. This is connected, and 10.2.0/24. This is connected to router 2. But we should configure two static root first for the 10.1.0.0/24 and the second 10.3.0.0/24. IP root 10.1.0.0. Mask is 255.255.255.0. The outgoing interface is facet and 00 to this network, and also the next hop is 10.1.2.1. This is the IP address of the facet and 00 in the router 1. The next static root, IP root 10.3.0.0.255.255.255.0. Outgoing interface is facet and 01. Next hop is 10.2.3.3. That's it. This is the two static roots that we need in the router 2. It is so easy. Also, let me to configure the router 3, okay, with the next hop, only the next hop, okay. Here I'm going to configure the router 3 with only the next hop. You know that in router 3 we know about 10.3.0.0/24 and 10.2.3.0/24, but about the 10.1.2.0/24 and also 10.0.0/24 we should configure the static roots. Let me to go to the router 3. This is router 3, okay. IP root, the first IP root 10.1.2.0.255.255.255.0. We are using the next hop 10.2.3.2. This is the IP address of the facet and 01, the next hop of the router 3. After that, let me to configure IP root the for example 10 again 1.0.0.255. Then 255.255.0, and after that again the next hop 10.2.3.2. That's it. This is the two commands that we have in the for example router 3. But before configuring the router 1, I'm going to emphasize one important notation. This is so important to understanding that yes, in some cases we can use all of these three methods, but in some cases we don't use the, for example, outgoing interface. Let me to review some of the topics that you have learned in the CCNA. Look at here. Assume that here between the router 1, okay, and the router 2, this is another scenario. We have one point-to-point links. This is the serial links, or this can be a DSL link, for example, okay? And here we have a net A. Okay, net A is one address. For example, here 10.2.0.0/24. And also in the link between the router 1 and router 2, we are using 10.1.2.0/24. Now I'm going to configure the static roots in the router 1. Let me to show you how we can configure the static root in the router 1. You know that here, because we have the point-to-point links, we can use each of these three methods. For example, in R1, you can configure IP root for 10.2.0.0, then 255.255.255.0, the outgoing interface serial 10. It is okay. Then next method, IP root, again 10.2.0.0.255.255.255.0. After that, the next stop is 10.1.2.2. It is possible. After that, if you want, you can configure IP root 10.2.0.0.255.255.255.0, serial 10, and also 10.1.2.2, both methods. Each of these three methods, when you are using the point-to-point links, such as the serial link, such as the HDLC link, is okay. But assume that we have this scenario, okay? Now here we are using the fast Ethernet 00. Means here we are using the, for example, Ethernet interface, okay? And with the same IP addressing. You can use, it is better to use only the second method, it's okay, and also the third method, not the first method. If you are using the for example, the outgoing interface, here you will encounter with some deficiencies. Let me to talk about these deficiencies. This is so important to configuring everything correctly. But let me to say that with the outgoing interface, here we have fast Ethernet 00, and here also we have the fast Ethernet 00 and next up. In the point-to-point interface, we can use the outgoing interface, but in the Ethernet interface, we shouldn't use the outgoing interface. But let me to explain it. For understanding the reason of the deficiency, first we should understand what is happening when we are configuring one command. Look at here, assume that in this scenario, in the R1 and R2, okay, we are configuring the router 1 with the next hop. How? Let me to show you. For example, here in the router 1, we are using the IP root command, IP root, for the next hop of 10.3.0.0, 255.255.255.0, and then the next hop is 10.1.2.2. Okay, the IP address of the fast Ethernet 00 of the router 2. You know that here we are experiencing with after this command one recursive lookup. What is the recursive lookup? Look at here. You know that we need to find the outgoing interface. Why? Because we should send the traffic over the interface. You know it. For example, we are receiving a traffic to the destination of the 10.3.0.10. 10.3.0.10 is one IP address. In this network, PC1 has the IP address of the 10.3.0.10. Okay, /24. We are receiving one packet with the destination IP of the 10.3.0.10. You know that we should compare it with the routing table. In the routing table, we have one entry that can match with this destination IP, but the next hop is 10.1.2.2. Okay, we know the next hop. What is the outgoing interface? Again, you should search the routing table. You know that in routing table of the router 1, now we have one static route. Let me to show you. We have one static route. This is the static route for the 10.3.0.0/24. The next hop is the, for example, 10.1.2.2. It's okay. But also we have one connected networks. Okay. The connected network point to the network 10.1.2.0/24 as the connected network. What does it mean? It means that when you have the next hop 10.1.2.2 with a recursive lookup, means again lookup, means the second lookup, you can find the 10.1.2.2 can be reachable over the fast Ethernet 00 because this is connected to the fast Ethernet 00 interface or outgoing interface. Okay, is the fast Ethernet 00. This means that when you know about the next hop, actually here you have the outgoing interface. Because of that, the router 1 can forward the packet to the router 2 from the fast Ethernet 00. But here you know that this packet should be sent to the next hop of 10.1.2.2. We need the MAC address of the router 2. You have learned about it. The router 1 should send one ARP request. This is the ARP request. Okay, to finding the MAC address of the 10.1.2.2, and after receiving the ARP reply from the router 2 and it contain the MAC address of the fast Ethernet 00 of the router 2, with this MAC address, this is the Ethernet header. Okay, this is our packet, and here we have the source MAC. The source MAC is the MAC of router 1. Let me write here, router 1 fast Ethernet 00, and to the router 2 fast Ethernet 00. Okay, because of that we can easily send it to the router 2. Again, in router 2, first router 2 should de-encapsulate it and then compare destination IP with the, for example, routing table. You know that in the receiving frame also we have for example, source MAC and destination MAC. Source MAC is the MAC of PC sending this traffic. Let me to use the S MAC, means source MAC, and here the destination MAC is the R1 fast Ethernet 01. After the encapsulating, R1 should find the pass. In this pass and in this outgoing interface, we need to find the MAC of the next hop, and after that we can add the MAC of next hop to the frame and we can forward it. This is the process we need. Actually, when we have a next hop, with the recursive lookup, we can find the outgoing interface, and finally we can forward the traffic to the next hop after the ARP resolution. This is the process. Now, let me to talk about what is happening when you are configuring instead of the next hop with outgoing interface. Assume that in the router 1, instead of the next hop, we are configuring the outgoing interface. I'm going to talk about this is not a good method. This is not an efficient method. Why? You know that when you are configuring with the next hop, first let me to